Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Day 532 coming at you tonight, 9:01 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 4:01 a.m. in Ukraine. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for continuing to like and subscribe, to comment, share, do all of those things. We couldn't do it without you, as we always say, and it is deeply appreciated, as always. Tonight as well, finally got the approval. We can stream live on Twitter. And we're also streaming live on Twitter as well as other sites. So thank you for being here, and much appreciated. So we're going to jump right into it. Right 5 minutes ago, it was drone air raids had moved across the country and were only over Khmelnytsky, Ternopil, Lviv, Volyn, and Rivne, which is the upper northwest corner of Ukraine. But literally 1 minute before we started the live stream, right at the countdown, this is what we now have. MiG-31s just launched from an airfield in Russia. And of course, those MiGs are carrying the missiles, typically the KHs, but we have went straight to an air raid alert now for the entire country, and we'll keep an eye on that through the night and the update. So right now, planes are in the air, and we'll see what happens. I'm going to talk about that actually tonight because Russia is using a new tactic, a new strategy. It's probably not new for you guys, especially you military guys, but it's a new nuance that Russia is using in their air attacks. So we'll look at that as well. And we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll be here while this is unfolding. Larry and Debbie, welcome to you. Rick Berry, Slava Ukraina. Dobro Bajelovit, good evening. Dobry večer. JDO, thank you, sir. Good evening there. Janet Smith, Ricochet, greetings from very warm Florida, probably. Hey there, Jeffrey Burnett. Another one of our moderators, along with JDO. Thank you. Skeghead checking in from down under. Peter Gibson, got a big heart there. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you for being here. Janet, God bless in Ukraine. Lynn Fireball down there in Virginia. Cinnamon, hello from Alberta. Hello, Greg, and hello, chat. Chuck Pinkham checking in from San Jose, California. In fact, I'll be leaving early in the morning. Linda Cassio coming in there from Greenville, PA. I'll be leaving very early in the morning. I'm heading to Virginia. I'm speaking down there this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at an event. And yes, the Friday night update will be here and we'll be ready to roll. So that's what's happening there. So let's jump into it. Probably 90 minutes ago, Domodedovo they thought a drone attack. It's still not proven. It could have been a drone attack. Now there's Russian media is saying that something blew up in the town of Domodedovo. This is in the Moscow suburb, and this is about 90 minutes ago. This could be Ukraine. It could be partisan. It could be anything. But there's something important about it, and that's what I'm here to share with you about it. So if I go here, I want you guys to understand something about Moscow. So here's Ukraine on the map. And if we go straight up out of Kyiv, and I get my map dead north, gives you better understanding. Domodedovo is actually the little burb outside of Moscow where the Domodedovo International Airport is. Moscow is serviced by two main airports for passengers. So Domodedovo is one of them, the Mikhail Lomonosov. Huge airport. Huge. So there's Domodedovo, and as well, there is Sheremetyevo. This is the airport that I fly in and out of to Moscow. And of course, this is the big international airport. So Sheremetyevo. So if you are watching things about Moscow, drone hits or explosions, just try to remember these two names. Domodedovo, it's an airport, and it's not military, it's commercial, and Sheremetyevo, one on the north side and one on the south side. So just keep that in mind, and we'll see what it is. It's only about 90 minutes old on that news, and that sign that's the airport, actually. Dobrobojalovit written there in Russian in the middle of the screen, but actually means welcome. Also, about 90 minutes ago, Kherson, huge explosion right downtown. We're still waiting on information from that, but I've been sharing with you guys every stream and trying to reiterate how hard Kherson is hit every day, multiple times a day, typically averaging, and this is between, you know, typically S-300s hit Kherson or artillery. But it's typically around 250 unique strikes in that Kherson area every day. So once again, tonight, Kherson being hit very hard, and that was about 90 minutes ago. If I jump back to the air raid map, now you can see that Vinnytsia has left. They've now moved to not being under an alert. And you say, well, how is that happening? Well, this is how it's happening. The regions or the oblasts that are west of Vinnytsia, they're actually under the drone alert. You can see the drone symbol there. So probably it's already cleared out, and you can actually see that Zaporizhia and Donetsk, they're actually under the airplane, MiGs, Tupolovs, whatever it is. They know they're in the air. So the whole nation, except for Vinnytsia, under air alarm. And like I told you, we'll keep an eye on it, because it's happening right now. So that's Kherson. Additionally, this is a picture coming out a little while ago from Antonivka. You say, well, that looks like a crazy picture there. It's not even intelligible. Well, what it is, it's the line of the Antonivka village, little town, which is a suburb of Kherson, and it's completely under fire. On fire. It was hit by phosphorus munitions and was just burning. You may say, well, where is Antonivka at? So I'm going to show you that. If you guys remember, one of the big targets for Ukraine is actually the Antonivsky Bridge. So if I zoom out and come back down to Ukraine, come straight into Kherson, right here is the Antonivsky Bridge. This is Kherson. Kherson was just hit somewhere here in the center, which is where my mouse hand is showing now. But if you just come out east, you get into the suburb of Antonivka. And remember the straight line burning right here. See how you go, how's that such a straight line? This is how I know this stuff is real. I've been on that road many times on that straight line right there. Like at least 25 times, 50. Jane and I were running that road, that straight road right there. So if you see the straight road and the photos being taken from the north, it's these homes right here. It's this line that's burning. So this is where was hit hours ago, and this is burning tonight, and Antonivka. And then, of course, here's the bridge. So, you know, when we look at these photos, before I share things, I know it's accurate or it's confirmed accurate from Zhenya and our guys. This one right here, 100% accurate. You can see the straight line, and she's a burning. So that's what's happening there. This thing is rolling over here, guys. Go back to this right here. Now look, bam, that quick. So that's going to stream buffering a bit here. Okay. That's going to confirm actually what we're talking about a little bit later in the update tonight. You see how quick this map changed here tonight. I see y'all seeing that. All right, let's try this, guys. Let me adjust something. Don't you just love the chat? Let me change something here. You guys tell me it should change now. So some of the guys in the chat were saying stream buffering a bit. Okay, Buffering, buffering. Okay, this is actually a big help for me. I made an adjustment over on this end. You guys tell me if it changes. Okay, better now? Everything's good? Beauty, beauty, beauty. Okay. Whew. Buffering here as well. I'm running at full capacity over here. So hopefully it clears up for you guys, but we're live, so I don't want to mess it up. Excellent now, better. Okay. I've got a setting over here I'm adjusting. I have a lot of things I look at, and that just answered my question. Okay, perfect. So back to this and what we were talking about. Let me flip it here. We can see that the air alerts have now went away. We're going to talk about that in just a few moments. It's exactly what confirming the information that came out from Ukraine today. Hello from Drummondville, Quebec, Canada vets. Awesome, brother. As you guys can see, I was in a golf tournament Saturday. I'm wearing my Golf for Vets. There you go. My Golf for Vets. This is for American veterans. We're out raising money for them. It was awesome. Okay, 1080p and good to go. Perfect. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Much appreciated. Ruski's using phosphorus munitions, talking about Ukraine using clusters. Yeah, it is. It's kind of crazy. So that's where we're at. And as we're looking at this, I'm going to explain this more to you in just a little bit. It plays perfectly into the information we have tonight. And here it is. Russia has began to use simulated launch technology with Kinzhals. It is not possible initially to tell the difference between simulation and the actual, said Yuri Ignat, Ukrainian Air Force. He's the spokesman. So this is exactly what we're talking about. These jets, and I can tell you that today, Ukraine has been in air alarm all day. And unless you've lived in it and been there in it, it's kind of hard to understand, but you're trying to go about some normalcy of life, and then all of a sudden the air alarms start ripping. Life stops. Things change. Buses stop. Different institutions close. People have to go into the basements. And when this is happening nonstop, people grow weary of it. They get tired of it. They get lackadaisical, and then people get killed. So Russia is using these, I don't know what technology they're using, but they're simulating the launches of these Kinzhals. What they are doing is they're putting these airplanes in the air, and then somehow with their technology, and I'm sure you guys know more than I do, they're able to simulate these launches like the War Games movie that we grew up on, and Ukraine has to respond and go on alert. And what they do is they typically put an airplane in the air that's carrying a Kinzhal. And you see the image here, it's the white missile there. That's the hypersonic. The slang name for it is the Dagger. Ukraine has taken a couple of those out of the air and deflected them, but it's basically impossible to stop. Pretty much lucky. Patriots can't even take those out of the air consistently. So that's what's happening. Does the Geneva Convention have something against the use of phosphorus? So I don't know if it's the Geneva Convention or there's another agreement. From what I remember, and I know the guys will answer this, but phosphorus cannot be used against civilians. I think that's what it is. But you can see right here, it's being used against civilians. So I'm pretty sure that is what it is. Hey, there's a veteran coming in, loving the shirt. Awesome, buddy. We're raising some money for you guys. Khmelnytsky is under warning again. It's actually not a drone warning this time. It's just a standard warning. So that could be anything. And there it is. That's where we're at right now with that. So that's what's going on. That was kind of interesting timing that unfolded while we were talking about it tonight. Now, Pokrovsk. We were talking about Pokrovsk on the last update, and I told you that we would have the accurate numbers because they had suspended the rescue due to instability in the buildings, and it was dark, and it was just too dangerous for the rescuers. So here's where we ultimately end up. 9 people killed, 82 wounded, 12 apartment buildings were hit, 2 pharmacies, 2 shops, 2 shopping areas where they'll have these multiple stores in this one building, and 1 government building. That's what was hit in Pokrovsk. Here's a little image of the aftermath. This video is released by Ukrainian military. See the logo in the upper left. Once again, this is Pokrovsk. 9 killed, 82 wounded. Upper right, Pokrovsk. See the church adjacent to it. So once again, that's Pokrovsk. We try to just share the truth with every update. Now, you know, for those of you that are military veterans, if you were ever in active combat, you understand that feeling. You were looking at the video, but if you guys have ever been where there was a hit, it's one thing to look at that 5 or 9-story building and see the floors crumbled on a video. But when you are standing there as a human and the sheer size of that building and all the families, all the lives, all the stories, you look at it and you know that all of those are now devastated. It's crazy. It basically takes your breath away. I can remember when Zhenya and I would pull up on some buildings that were just hit, and we wouldn't even speak. It takes your words away. It takes your breath away. You just standing there looking, and it's unbelievable. I remind you that that's the damage of 2 Iskanders. That was not 10 missiles. It was not 20. It was not artillery. It was 2 Iskanders. So that's what did that. Another aerial view there of Pokrovsk. Now, today, Zaporizhia was hit. Once again, the target. Are they still searching for life? No, that's done. In fact, everybody is accounted for there. You can go on Google Earth and Street View the destruction of towns and airports. That's true where they've updated it. Zaporizhia. I mean, you know, we're talking about phosphorus and war crimes in the chat, and I think I gave you guys accurate information confirmed by our military guys that phosphorus is not banned against military; it's banned against civilians. So there's nothing's ever going to come of it. They're going to keep using phosphorus. That's the bottom line. But Zaporizhia today, you want to talk about a war crime? A church and a playground hit today. 3 people killed, 9 people wounded. We just go from town to town to town. Here's Zaporizhia today. These are like little shopping areas. You see how the people gather. Of course. This is many times when Russia will hit the second time. Now, I'm actually going to show you now the video of that. This is the one that President Zelensky released right here. Somebody had sent him, and he released this one. This was right after the attack. You can see the church burning. This is real time, folks. This is what was happening. This is the video President Zelensky released, and one more angle here from the church, the playground area adjacent to it. You can see the blanket there, of course. This was right after. So that's Zaporizhia today. There you go, Carl Elwell. That's correct. Russian electronic warfare system simulated the launch of Kinjal hypersonic missiles. That's why, look at here. That's why we went full red, and now we're gone. So that was one of those simulated launches. They put the planes in the air. One of the planes will have a Kinjal on it. Just one. It only takes one. And then they do their electronic attack. Every time I see a video of so many destroyed buildings, I am amazed how few were killed. Agreed. Completely agreed. That's why the double hits are. I can also tell you, in situations like that, your big city is hit, Pokrovsk is hit. It's a big city. It's a medium-sized town. Zaporizhia, of course, is huge. The numbers are going to always be accurate. They're away from the front line. Where the numbers are not accurate, and it's not that Ukraine's trying to hide anything, but we're here to tell you the truth. The bottom line is many times they don't know. You know, we're talking a lot of shelling on those front lines right now. Sasha, Alexander Kuashko. Hi, Greg. Thank you very much for your work and accurate information. Slava Ukrainu. Героям слава, дорогой. До перемоги. Мы стоим вместе до перемоги. Знаю чуть-чуть русский, чуть-чуть украинский, но это все я знаю. Slava Ukraina. There you go. Anger is not strong enough word for the emotions these barbarous acts inspire. That's correct, my friend. So that's what's happening there. That's Zaporizhia. Now, speaking, it's amazing tonight how this thing's just flowing. I do try to logically put these in order as I prepare, and then the chat gets going and we start going different directions, and that's cool. But Kupiansk, you want to know where Kupiansk is. I'm going to show you. Let's go here. So we're going to leave Kherson and the Antonivka Bridge. And you know what? We'll do the flyby, and I'll just go up to Kupiansk for us. Kupiansk, Kharkiv Oblast. We'll go there. Northeastern Ukraine. Right here. Kupiansk is this city here. Very important. Russia had occupied it. Then Ukraine, with their first counteroffensive, took it back. City of about 30,000 people, but it's an extremely key logistical center for moving into Kharkiv and then moving down toward the Donetsk region, heading towards Slavyansk, Kramatorsk, even on down, pushing Konstantinivka, Bakhmut, Pokrovsk, Pavlograd, all of those areas. So Kupiansk, very important. So not for the city itself. Not for the city itself, but for this front line right here in Kupiansk. On this map, I've got the the city proper of Kupiansk, outlined in the blue. And then to the right of that, I colored in the green zone. And the green zone is a strip of villages where Ukraine has approximately 11,000 people. And they are not mandatory, forceful evacuation, but it's as strong as they can go without driving to their doors and making the people leave. This bus here is actually set up, and it says in the sign by the Red Cross there, which is not Red Cross, but the Red Cross, in this window, it says Evacuacja Diti, meaning children evacuation. So this is what is happening all along the Kupiansk region, along these frontline cities here. If I go here, you can see why. We'll zoom in here. This is the place where Russia is making some of their biggest pushes. Ukraine's making their pushes in other places. But here you can see the city of Kupiansk right here. And when you get to these villages and these towns, for example, Fugalivka, this one's specifically, Dvorichna. How many people live in Dvorichna? 3,000. You can see now Russia. Of course, they're shelling the tar out of that, I guarantee you. Zapadny, little village here. Kalinovi, Golubivka, Sinica. All these villages in this Kupiansk region, Petropavlivka, absolutely along the river here, they're all basically as hard as Ukraine can do it without driving to people's houses and forcefully taking them away. It's pretty hot there. Ukraine making a little push here, but this is the map I trust absolutely the most. It's from the Institute of Study of War. Gold, Russian pushes. Blue, Ukrainian. Our best pushes, of course, down on the north and south of Bakhmut. Once again, guys, the lines haven't moved. I mean, they're just not. A little bit here and there. You come down to Avdiivka. Ukraine still making their push here. Russia making their push on the north of it. South, still below Veliki Novosilka is our best push in the south. And then down below Orikhiv. We're doing good here, but it's tough. It's very, very tough. We're going to talk about that in a moment as well. Got some information on that. So that's what's happening there in Kupiansk, and also a peek at all of the front lines here. Now, the city of Uman. Let's see here. Say hi to Nathan in the church. Okay. Привет, Nathan. No three notches out of me. Having fun, buddy. Appreciate that. Highly recommend these folks evaluate, praying for safety and provisions or maybe for safe travels away from forward areas. Yeah. I think this Kupiansk time, we had the evacs up towards Sumy earlier, and we found out later it's because Russia's using those frontline cities on the border to just fire at randomly with helicopter training. So that come out a month later. This one on Kupiansk, a little bit more strong and assertive in the language from Ukraine. If older person with no family leaves on one of the buses, if older person with no family leaves on one of the buses, where are they to go once out of the war zone? Okay, I can answer that. Not only can I answer that, I can help you understand how that works. So if Ukraine is picking up, you used it like a senior, and they have no family. First of all, everybody that is evacuated, that is on a bus, or they're near a missile strike, for example, like today in Zaporizhia, a couple days ago in Pokrovsk. When that happens, the Ukrainian government comes in and they set up a booth. And at the booth, they're taking down all of the information. And yes, a lot of times it's literally written on a notepad with a pen. We're not talking running around with computers and iPads many times. They're registering people. They're getting surnames, family roots, accounting for people. And then on the evacuation side or the transport side, if a family's leaving or a person is leaving, they go into the system registered and then they go basically through a transport. And I can tell you right now that in the center of Khmelnytsky, um, for example, and I know this one because we work with them, they have a relocation center, and all the cities have relocation centers. It is not, it's not, it's not Nazi relocation, okay? It's true relocation services, much better way to say it. And I can actually show you here what it looks like. Let me go to Khmelnytsky. I'll let you do this with me tonight. We go down to Khmelnytsky and let me get my bearing straight. Okay, there it is. Detroit, Khmelnytsky right here. I come down, I come to the center street. Okay, you see this park right here? Oh, you see it? Point of invincibility. Let me see if Street View's working. I'm sure it is. I can get right here. Okay. So I'll take you around the street. This is Khmelnytsky, and this is this park, Klovakava. That's where I drink coffee a lot. But you guys, as soon as I get it clear here, right here, you see this building here? All right, this is the square in Khmelnytsky. Fountains are here. This building right here is a former movie theater. Well, it's still a movie theater, but now the war's going on. It's not a movie theater. This is a relocation center, and it is a point of invincibility. So every day, it doesn't look like that now. There's flags out there. There's sandbags around that building. There's people in the street moving people around. There is a line outside of that building every day where people who are relocated from the front, for example, they're evacuating Kupiansk. They may be pushed over to Khmelnytsky. They come to this place. And then once they get to this place and it's decided that they will stay in, for example, Khmelnytsky, then all of the social organizations in Khmelnytsky, of which one is ours, Napram with Zhenya, receive the phone call. Our administrator, we have a family of 4. We need a place to house. And this is how it works in every city in Ukraine. So I hope that helps you understand there how that happens. Line doesn't move much, but I'm amazed that Ukraine holds Russia back. Ukraine is tough as nails. They are, man. They're crazy good. Over outmanned, overgunned, outgunned. It's crazy. Is that also the street with the pictures of the heroes? Yes. It's right there. Starting right there at that crosswalk, if you go straight all the way down, that's where I've filmed and shown you the heroes there. Yes. So you got it, bud. You are now a Khmelnytsky expert. Now, I do see this, and let's see. I know not related, but shocking reports coming out of Ecuador. I know it's not related to Ukraine, but we actually do a lot of missionary work in Ecuador as well. So I'm going to check on that, Mark. Thank you. Now, Hasidim Uman. I want to teach you guys something else tonight. Uman. I'm going to come out and I'm going to take you to Uman. Right here. Uman. This is a city in Ukraine. where um, Hasid, Hasidim or Hasidic Judaism was founded in the 18th century by Israel ben Eliezer. So this city of Uman is very Jewish. I mean, we've stayed many nights in Uman, and in fact, we stay right on this lake. There's a little kind of a hotel here that overlooks the lake. It's easy access for us if we're pulling a trailer when we're coming through town. But this lake right here, this is where 25,000 Jews make a pilgrimage every September. This is a picture of it. This is the lake you see there to the left. It's the same lake that I'm showing you here on the map. This city, very, 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 very Jewish, and a lot of synagogues, a lot of tradition and histories here. And every September, there is a pilgrimage. People from all over the world, Jews from all over the world in this tradition of Judaism come and they remember and celebrate the founding of this branch of Judaism. Ukraine today coming out and saying, listen, Zelensky actually, but Ukraine coming out and saying, we would never force a religious organization to cancel an event. Our nation is freedom of religion. It doesn't matter what the world says, we're freedom of religion. You can worship your God in Ukraine. However, we are strongly urging our Jewish brothers and sisters to consider postponing the event, moving the event, not having the event, because we are concerned for your safety that if 25,000 Jews come and stand around this lake, that Russia will hit you. So please consider. So we will be watching that. It's about 6 weeks from now when this event happens, but I'm telling you now, guys, 6 weeks ahead of time that we need to keep our eyes on Uman. Additionally, we are getting a lot of work in Ukraine, and I know you guys are interested in it because we always want to stand for truth and righteousness. So, everybody gives the story that Ukraine is such a place of corruption and all of this mess, and it is, but it's no different than the United States, Brazil, France, Spain, Great Britain, China, Timbuktu. Ukraine, they are fighting the big battle against corruption. I can tell you right now that when these deputies, these guys in the Rada that are working in Kyiv, and they go out of town or they leave the country for a vacation, when they come back, they're losing their position. And Zelensky's firing them. He's removing them from office and says, you can't leave while our country is fighting. Or the bribes that are taking place throughout the nation, no different than takes place in other nations. They're cleaning it out. Russia is not the only front of the war for Ukraine. It's also corruption, and they're fighting it wonderfully. Additionally, this image here, Ukraine is having to wash out the collaborators. This lady here, her face is blurred out. She was just arrested in Zhytomyr. She had come from Donetsk. This just happened within the last week. She had come from Donetsk, Ukrainian passport, Russian collaborator. She was in Zhytomyr, and she's telling Russia troop movements, locations, where she sees trucks moving, everything. And she was feeding the information. The SBU got her. They went, they arrested her. And of course, now she will go through the legal process. But Ukraine is fighting it. They're doing a phenomenal job. And it just takes time. So you can see how far away that this lady went and she relocated. Let's see here. Alex, man, appreciate you, brother. Very impressed by your knowledge of Ukraine and your passion since large invasion. I can say that as Ukrainian, saw a lot of bloggers and other commentators since 2014. Much appreciated, my friend. Tell your friends. Holy moly. Hmm. Hmm. Now that's a problem. That's a problem. So the reason I know about Ecuador is we've been working inside Quito for years and years and years. I've been to Ecuador many, many times. And I actually have a young man who's a friend that's a police officer there, and they've been dealing with some major issues. So this is going to be a serious problem in Ecuador. I can tell you that. Tim Ryder, Tucker's next story. Zelensky's now persecuting Jews and shutting down synagogues. 100% correct, Tim Ryder. That is what will happen. And that's why I'm documenting it here on August the 9th, 2023. When we get to the middle of September and the stories start to come out that Ukraine is persecuting Jews, you guys, at least in here, will know it's a lie. So share it and tell other people. It's crazy. It's crazy. That's exactly what will happen, sir. You know exactly what you're talking about. Now, the Olenogorsky Gornyak is in dry dock. That is the amphibious ship that Ukraine hit a few days ago with the sea drone. It's there in Novorossiysk. It has lost completely its combat capability and will not return to the fleet anytime soon. That's not a report from Ukraine. That's directly from the Kremlin, Dmitry Pletenchuk. So, hey, that's one ship down. And in fact, Mark McLaren over there across the pond, this actually came out of Great Britain today. And you can see there the image of Putin and then the naval letters there, P-U-T, and then a 1 and the backwards, the E, or the looks like Putin, Russian flag, and the sea drone coming. You see in the upper left, I added the little graphic there of the weak link. Ukraine has found the weak link where they can hit the strongest. And that is, they can tear up their boats in the Black Sea. I'm so impressed by this technology. And, you know, the war's been happening since February 2022. It actually started in 2014. The roots of it can go back to the Orange Revolution if we really want to go deep, and we won't. But 2014, now 2023. But Ukraine's capabilities to strike those ships in the Black Sea is quite impressive. And now this has become one of the strongest assets that Ukraine has. And of course, it's very important because there aren't many ships that are carrying Caliber class missiles out there that they strike Ukraine with very regularly. So the ability to take those out shows a weakness on the Russian side and additionally shows a strength on the Ukrainian side. So we're happy about that. Oh, so you saw it. That's cool. Yeah, that was out in Great Britain today. Very, very cool. So now, I want to give you an update on the Arab Summit. This was happening in Saudi Arabia. The Arab League came together. Zelensky did not go, of course. Putin didn't go. They wanted them to try to come together. That's not going to happen. But the Arab League, the Arab nations came out. Yermak was there. One of those, you know, who's Yermak? He's the real big dude you always see with Zelensky. He was there. So the Arab Summit came out with this statement. We support the territorial integrity of Ukraine. Period. But they said, we will not support punishment for Putin and the Kremlin, and we will not support Russian reparations against Ukraine. So let's just understand, they don't support Ukraine, because if they did, they would support those other things. The other thing would be the viewpoint out of the Arab League on what their perception is of territorial integrity, because they did not stipulate 91 borders, because you realize the Russian Constitution has now been rewritten that says, it doesn't matter, but it's what it says in the Russian Constitution now, that that Lugansk, Donetsk, Zaporizhia, Kherson, Crimea are actual Russian sovereign territory. So is the Arab League saying up to that border, 91 borders, but definitely they're saying no, we will not support Putin's punishment or reparations. So that's out of the Arab League summit. Now, Zubrovka, Belarus. Need to pay attention to this one. This one is, I'll take you up there. Out of Uman. I like where you can see the border of the nation here. So Ukraine right here. I'll take you there now. You can see Kyiv here, due north and a little east. Chernigiv is right here. And then Ukrainian border here, or right in Zubrovka, there's an air base. Taking you into it right now, and you can tell with the pods there, it's old Soviet air base. It's an old aerodrome. It's still active. It's functioning. And now it's a Wagner base. 1,000 Wagner are being rotated to this facility here at Zubrovka. Now, what's interesting about that, if I back out, I can do this, and I'll give it to you in kilometers. From Zubrovka to the border, 25 kilometers. It's nothing. I mean, it's nothing. In miles for Americans, 15. And just for laughs, Zubrovka, not laughs, but grins, Zubrovka to Kyiv, 130 miles. That's it. It's close. So this is where 1,000 Wagner are rolling in. They're going to continue to call. In fact, they're going to continue to cause problems. But really interesting what Danilov said, Secretary of Defense today. I'll show you that in a moment. He said, Prigozhin's rebellion was a special operation approved by Putin. Danilov, Secretary of Defense of Ukraine. It was a special operation to identify those generals who were not entirely disposed towards Putin and his entourage. Folks, this came out today. Secretary of Defense. You know, I hate to say it, but this is exactly what Zhenya said. It wasn't me saying it. It's what Zhenya said when the Wagner Revolution happened. He said, when it comes out, Putin will have known about this, and if not, supported it and planned it. Do you remember right after it, when we had the first statement of Prigozhin, we played it, we translated, and Prigozhin said, everything went according to our plan. Danilov today coming out and saying, this is what happened. So, you know, it's taken 6 weeks to figure this out. That was the end of June. But we knew it. There is no way that Prigozhin would try to overthrow Putin. A, he knows it would be suicide. B, he has extremely deep bonds to Putin. It doesn't matter about the rants and raves. He's an actor. That's all drama. He's a chef. He's probably a very, very, very multimillionaire, if not pushing billionaire. He owns so much property throughout the world. He owned the hotel where the African delegations were staying at the African summit there in St. Petersburg, and he was there with Putin. Folks, this is what happens. And that is why when you watch your mainstream media, you might as well watch it a week late, because you can never trust what comes out of the Kremlin. If you don't hear anything else I say tonight and you're wanting to learn how to understand this war, this culture, these different sides, these different viewpoints between Russia and Ukraine. Just trust me. And this is not a blanket statement against Russians. I have a lot of wonderful Russian friends and family that I love very much. They're really, really good, wonderful people. Nothing to do with that. But this dictator, Vladimirovich Putin, and his entourage of cronies, much like the Hitler regime of World War II, you can believe nothing that comes out of the Kremlin. And typically, if you see something happening, when the true story comes out, it's going to be not necessarily the opposite, but it's going to be different. 90% plus of the time. That's why you have to wait and be patient. The Danilov here, no question, spot on. Poland today, because of Belarus doing all of that, moved another 2,000. That's now 7,000 troops they've moved to the border, plus military police, plus border guards. Look at this map right here that I have for you. You think about Poland for a second. Think about their border. To the north, they have Russia. Many people forget that. Then they've got Lithuania and the Gap. Then they have a long border with Belarus that's now having war games on the border down towards Brest with the Belarusian army and Wagner divisions scattered throughout. Of course, they have to respond. They have to load it up. And of course, they have Ukraine down to the south. So that's how it looks. Poland, they're in a tough place, and they have to pay attention to it. Germany, 25 more Leopard 1s coming. Now, we don't even have all of the first batch that was promised. We do have some, and for that we're very thankful. But the total number has been added to, and now 25 more Leopards are coming. So for that, thankful. Kremlin, as required, you may or may not have seen this, in the Russian Constitution, notified the United Nations of its intent to order martial law in Russia. Of course, this is a prelude to widespread mobilization. Kremlin already declared martial law in the regions along the Ukrainian border, some of the oblasts there, or some of the regions in those oblasts, like Belgorod. They've already put into place martial law. And then, of course, in the regions they control inside of Ukrainian sovereign territory, they've placed martial law. But now, and I was reading and watching something last night. The reality is, folks, other than the drones hitting Moscow now and few guys smoking in the wrong places and some explosions, Moscow's not feeling the brunt of this war. As I've told you guys many a times, most of the mobilization that has happened for Russia to this point is not from the major urban areas. It's not from Moscow. It's not from St. Pete. It's not from Nizhny Novgorod. It's not from these cities. It's from the Far East and Central Russia. So these more traditional Russian major areas, the mobilization's not kicked in yet. So they are preparing the ground for that, and we'll see what happens on that. IDF, you guys know I have a couple of friends in the IDFs, and Ricochet, that is correct. 2 more Patriots coming in from Germany. Today as well, I was reading, because they thought when these drones were flying earlier, they actually put out a specific warning for Konstantinov Air Base, because they thought they were coming there. And now we can see that didn't happen, thankfully. But I learned today that these Patriot systems that Ukraine does have, they're actually using them to guard strategic air bases and storages. So you guys know that Konstantinov is a major Air Force base. I'm not telling you anything that nobody else in the world knows. It's common knowledge. So we could just imagine that most likely around Konstantinov there in the Khmelnytsky region, there's a Patriot. It's one of the major air places there in Ukraine, but that's the number one use of the Patriots, is to protect their assets for fighting the war. And Ukraine put that out today. That was pretty interesting. That's when they stated they were getting 2 more Patriots. And this is what they stated: we can now protect our assets better. And it's not only our people. So, of course, it's the air bases. Now, IDF, we have some friends there in the IDF, 2 specifically that Jane and I talk with. Counterattack in Ukraine. Much pessimism. This is from the IDF, Israeli Defense Force. Pessimism in the West, Europe and the US, after the first 2 months of the counter offensive, because it didn't even break the first line of defense. I know that you can read headlines like, or you'll see something come across Twitter or Al Jazeera. Well, Ukraine has broken through this first line. They're at the second line. Okay. It's only very small. We're very thankful for it, and they've got to put out positive information. But the reality is we have I'm not allowed to say frozen front because it's not frozen. We have a stalled front. Yes, Ukraine has broken through front line in a few small areas. But Russia is first line minefield, second line minefield, third line minefield, fortifications, typically. And we're breaking through in a few areas, but it's not to the tempo that the West wanted. IDF, they don't care. They care about people, but they don't care about just telling the truth. And they said, we see the West disappointed. The West understands, US and Europe, that despite the large supply of weapons, the expectations from Kyiv were excessive. Okay. Ukraine has the best warriors that I've ever been on the front lines with. I know our American heroes. My grandfather's a hero, World War II and Korean War, Cuban Bay Missile Crisis. We have heroes. A lot of you in here are American veterans, and you're heroes. And I know you're the same. But these Ukrainians are amazing fighters, amazing camaraderie and teamwork. But the reality is the expectations were high. And I was thinking about this today when I was preparing for the stream. I want to show you guys something. This just kind of came to me after spending a lot of time here. I'm going to show this to you. I don't know how, but you know, if we come back here to Kherson, okay, for example, this is Kherson. So Russia came across the river, and they had occupied all of Kherson. And this little area right here, Chernobyevka, is a place where Ukraine did so much damage to the Russians. For example, and I've been in Chernobyevka many times, standing right there, talking to the soldiers. I've got good friends probably on their checkpoint right now. They told us the reason Chernobyevka became kind of legendary for Ukraine, much like the ghost of Kyiv, was because Russia would send out their line, Ukraine would tear them up. Russia would send out a second group, Ukraine would tear them up. They'd send out a third, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth. And Ukraine was just wiping them out. And finally, Russia had enough of it, and they pulled back out of Chernobyevka. They pulled and fortified Kherson. They held on to that for a while. And then Ukraine started their counteroffensive, the first one. And remember, Putin told the troops in Kherson, withdraw, retreat. And they did. And that was a major victory for Ukraine. And we celebrate it. We celebrate it. I've been all over this Kherson. But Kherson is dangerous. And here's why. Topographically, and I was thinking about this today. Why is it so difficult? Why did Russia leave Kherson? Okay, it's simple now that I thought about it. What you have here on this above the city. So just look at the lines above the city. Of course, the straight line road there on Antonivka, where I was telling you was burning tonight. And then this northern side of Kherson, it has a cut across road to Chernobyevka. And then you take this out to Mykolaiv. You wrap around and then back down to the rivers. You have Kherson. So this entire like farmland is on a straight plateau. And then when you come into Kherson and you leave Chernobyevka, and if you come and go through the center and go all the way to the river, so think about it, folks, everything goes downhill. The whole city of Kherson is built on a slow grade down to the river. Very difficult to defend if you're a military unit in there and the enemy, which would have been Ukraine for Russia, has the high ground. So Russia pulled it back. Now what happens? Ukraine is in there. They're in the bowl. Russia shells it every day. So these front lines aren't moving because it's next to impossible to move them. It's next to impossible. There's so many soldiers, and that's why these Ukrainian soldiers are heroes. They're just doing an amazing job. Their teamwork, their efforts to defend their homeland, and that's why we support them do peremoga, until victory. It's just amazing. But Kherson, I was thinking about it today, and I said, you know what? You just go downhill to the river. The whole city built on a slope. And of course, the high ground's king. So very difficult. And Oleshki on the other side of the river goes right back up. It's that whole river bottom there. So I think it kind of makes sense. A lot of these front lines are like that. The terrain is difficult. And everywhere that Ukraine is trying to retake, Russia has destroyed, loaded it with mines. So of course, the counteroffensive is not the speed we want. My concern for it is, as we continue on, the world grows weary of this and people begin to pull their support of Ukraine. Nations begin to pull their support of Ukraine. And as we go forward into 2024, elections in many nations, ours here in the U.S. included, perceptions change, viewpoints change, and we need to do really good right now. So we're expecting that. We'll see. So that's coming out of IDF today. Now, here's another guy. Preparations for training of Ukrainian military on F-16 fighter jets are slowing down. U.S. ready to send them. Europe's not ready due to the fact that some countries are afraid of provoking Russia. That's not me. That's not anybody. This is from Philip Breedlove today, former Supreme Commander of NATO's combined forces in Europe, retired American general. He was interviewed on Voice of America. He says, I believe in supplying the fighters to Ukraine, but Russia's policy of intimidation of the West has shown considerable effectiveness. He's expecting that. Ukraine came out again today and says, we have 8 pilots that will be our initial group that will be trained. Why only 8? They have 24 others that are in process to get to the level of 8. Why 8? It wasn't due to the capability to learn in these systems on the F-16 and fly them. It was due to command of the English language. You have to have, and this is from Ukraine, the stuff I'm reading after and studying after, an extremely high level of English to be trained efficiently to fly these planes. This is why MiGs go between. Ukrainians typically speak Ukrainian, of course, and Russian perfectly. So these systems that come out of the former Soviet Union, much easier, pick it up and roll with it. Grab a tank, repair it, and put it on your battlefield. You're not doing that with systems, especially that are American made, and everything's in English. So that's the challenge there. Zelensky today, talking about NATO. Very interesting. Zelensky said, in fact, I'll play it for you here. Right here. I'll translate it for you. Let me pull this down. Here's Zelensky today talking about NATO. I'll translate it
бути вдячною, якщо Україна буде в НАТО. І саме так. Тому що це безпека для Росії. Що Україна ніколи в майбутньому не прийде на їх.
So he's talking about, Ukraine, we could be and will be the best shield for NATO if we're put into NATO because we will not attack Russia. So actually, the best thing that could happen is for us to come into NATO because of our long border with Russia. It ensures Russian security. So we will provide security for Russia by joining NATO. Very interesting thought there, and that's what he was stating today. You can see the long line there now with Finland, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, and Slovakia, Hungary, Romania on that border there. Additionally, NATO on the map here, if you go to NATO's site here, you can see it kind of highlighted there in the blue. You basically have the border of Russia all the way down. You have Belarus, which is basically Russia in proxy. And then you have this huge nation of Ukraine. And Zelensky's saying, okay, we'll just provide you security, Russia. Just put us in NATO. And because we're not coming to Russia, we just want our own country. We will not attack you. So interesting concept there. Zelensky, of course, always the good communicator. And I always compare him to Reagan a little bit, having that actor background. So that's there with NATO. Boom, boom. That's perfect. Fast food. Everybody loves fast food. You say, okay, man, I'm here for the Ukrainian update. I don't care about the fast food. You will when I show you this. So these Ukrainians on the front lines trying to have any semblance of normal life. These guys typically, and I can tell you, depending on their position, they're typically on either 12 or 24 or 36-hour rotations, where I have friends that are snipers, and they actually run 36-hour shifts. So they're out 36 hours, but then they're back to their resting area for 36. Others are on different ones. Some are out 3 days, but typically that 12, 24, 36. So when they're back, they're trying to have some semblance of normalcy, and the cook is working. So they just want to order some fast food. And this came out today from a Ukrainian unit. This is over toward Bakhmut area. And this is what it looks like there. I'll translate this for you guys. Let me get this ready here so I can hear you. Fast food on the front. Excuse me, can I have 2 cheeseburgers, please? Oh, you want to take this with you? Yeah. Let's have some mayonnaise and mustard on it, too. Do you want coffee or tea? I'll take some coffee. Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay, I'm going to walk around while I wait for my food. So, I wanted to share that with you guys there. That's the Ukrainian fast food soldiers there. And you guys that are veterans, I know some of our viewers in here are veterans from Persian Gulf, Iraqi stuff, and we got Vietnam vets in here. I'm sure you guys did some very similar things. Have a little bit of normal. This right here, drone. This is a Russian drone. I'll translate this for you. Ukrainians today, or a couple of days ago, but I got this video today, shot down this drone and shot it down with those electronic pulse weapons and were able to basically land it. Listen, I don't even understand. But I've seen them. These pulse weapons, I've been there with them. They just aim them. And I don't know what's happening, but they can stop the drone and land it. This is a reconnaissance drone from Russia. Let me play this video for you. This is a Ukrainian soldier who brought it down. and is explaining what they do. Let's do this here. It says today, this morning, we got some anti-drone from the border guards. They landed this one for us. It's a Aileron 16B using the anti-drone gun. We're not really familiar with this one. It's the first time we've had it. But I don't think it'll be the last time because this is the kind of trash they're flying over us. So there's no better parallels than to land one and figure out how it works. So pretty cool there. These guys are just landing these things when they can. It's not a Burger King on wheels, but it's getting the job done. Yeah, it's good. Okay, signal jammer. There we go. Mucks up the whole RF band directed manner. Okay. Yeah, I've seen those things. They're pretty cool. But anyway, this is what they're doing to figure out what's happening there. Now, finally tonight, last thing I want to share with you guys. Domodedovo, we've got that. We're done. Last thing I want to share with you. Zelensky put out a video, and I didn't voice over this one because I didn't want to mess up the feel of it. So it's subtitled. I know a lot of people that listen to this instead of watching it like to hear me voice it over, but maybe I'll read it. I don't know. But I want you to feel this. Zelensky came out with the Ukrainian Defense Forces. They put out this little video basically telling the Russian invaders, if you want to live, go home. Of course, it's encouraging to the troops. It's a morale booster. This gets sent out to all the soldiers, to the civilians. But very cool. If you want to live, you better run. Here it is.
Хотите жить? Бегите.
If you want to live, run.
Хотите жить? Сдавайтесь в плен.
If you want to live, surrender.
Россия не получит новую территорию Украины.
Russia's not going to get new territory in
Россия
Ukraine.
присоединит себя к той катастрофе, которую она принесла на оккупированную территорию нашей страны.
Catastrophe to bring to its own
Оккупант
country.
заполняет могилами захваченную территорию
The
Украины.
occupier fills
Все
the
больше
occupied
могил
territory
на
with their own
территории
graves,
самой
and there are
России.
more graves on Russia itself.
Ценой того, что один
Price is
человек
one
в России
person in
хочет
Russia wants this war
продолжать
to
эту
continue.
войну, кто хочет войны
One
больше, чем
person in
жизнь
Russia wants war more than life.
вашей жизни.
Your life,
Граждане
citizens of
России.
Russia. So there he has it. Of course, they're going to do their best to send that out to Russians as well. And that's what it is. So, folks, there you have it. Let me go back and check it. We told you we'd be watching it. So right here, Sumi, it just clicked. We were completely clear. Sumi just clicked. That could be drones. They typically come in that way, or it could be planes, or it could be general. But Sumi under air raid. And let me check additionally here. Okay, so I know we were not talking about this specifically. So it looks like a presidential candidate was murdered in Ecuador. Okay, so that could be even more interesting because their president right now is no bueno. Let's see here. Yeah, okay. A new MiG. So we'll see. And everything else is clear. So that's where we're at tonight, folks. Thank you for being here. Day 532 in the books. I'll be traveling early in the morning, but we'll be back with you Friday night for the next update on day 534. You guys be blessed. Much appreciated. And we'll see what happens. If we need to come in here live before then, of course we will. I've got a mobile rig I'm taking with me. My guy that helps me and the company that helps me. I've got this mobile rig I'm going to try for Friday. So we'll see what happens. And we'll go from there. You guys be blessed. Appreciate all of you. Thank you for continuing to do your part. Share, like, comment, subscribe. Love the conversation. Deeply appreciated. You guys be blessed on this Wednesday night. We'll see you Friday night, if not before. Have a good night.